Size of the task facing Western United this evening. But we do know that John Aloisi's team has goals in them. Only Western Sydney Wanderers scored more in the regular season. And an early strike this evening could change the entire complexion of this tie. City, though, were clinical last week. That's why the win probability favours them strongly. They've now put together a 7-game unbeaten run at the right point of the season. And they have to start strong favourites to complete the job here at Amy Park. Let's have a look at the team news. Melbourne City making 2 changes from the first leg. Nathaniel Atkinson returns from injury and Steven Ugarkovic is ready to go from the off. So Callum Talbot and Zane Schreiber drop out to the starting 11. Still no Samuel Supriyan, who's been written off for the season due to a troublesome calf. Lawrence Wong also unavailable after fracturing his wrist during an NPL game last week. Emin Durakovic comes onto the bench, a bench that also includes one of last week's goal scorers, Matt Leckie. Now 3 changes for Western United. Tate Russell, Matt Grimaldi and Hiroshi Ibasuki all drop down to the bench. James Donaghy returns in defence with Tomoki Imai again shifting across to right back. In attack, Abel Wallatu comes in to provide some spark on the right. And Noah Botic is fit to start after his cameo last week. Rami Najarine looks to have an impact against one of his former clubs off the bench. Well, perfect evening weather-wise in Melbourne. There's already a Vidmar who maintained his perfect record against John Aloisi last week. 5 meetings, 5 wins. He's looking to win through to his first grand final as a coach since 2009. And of course, he took Adelaide United to meet, yes, you guessed it, Melbourne Victory. John Aloisi still believes his team can win this tie. He's pointed to the fact this week that they've scored 3 or more in a game on 13 occasions this season. But out of those 13, only 2 clean sheets have been kept, which of course is going to be equally as important for Western this evening. Match referee tonight is Adam Kersey. George Lacrindis and Emma Kotzbeck run the lines. Ben Abraham is the 4th official and Lara Lee is in charge of the VAR alongside Casey Rybelt. Those City fans happy together. Will it be the 2 Melbourne clubs, sets of fans who are rarely happy together, meeting here next weekend? Germán Ferreira got the all-important opening goal last week and City went on to romp home by 3-0. But today is another day, and who knows what the next 90 minutes or longer have in store. We've already perhaps seen one shock earlier on today with the Premiers Auckland being knocked out by Melbourne Victory. These 2 about to decide who will face them for the trophy itself on May the 31st. Noah Botic back after injury, been linked with a move to St Pauli this week. But first he's got a job to do for Western United. All signs, Andy Harper, after that first leg result do point to it being the first ever Melbourne Derby Grand Final. Can you see a big upset happening tonight?
Hard to see it, Simon. But if Western can conjure something in the first 45 minutes at least, we're going to enjoy the drama that will follow. They're certainly capable.
That's a good touch by Noah Botic to set Michael Roos on his way. Ball just slightly behind Botic, which allowed Nathaniel Atkinson to gather. It's likely to be a frenetic opening. No early goal for Western United would certainly set the cat amongst the pigeons and perhaps just cause those nerves to wobble a little bit. And we have seen that before from City in finals football.
Yeah, and look, despite their free scoring in the last 2 starts, both at this stadium, there have been chances for their opponents to score, and Western certainly fitted that description in the first half last week. Didn't take their chances. They're not going to be able to afford any wastage this evening. In the meantime, they can't afford to go 4 down. So it's a very evenly balanced approach, you'd have to think, is the prerequisite for Western tonight.
Biggest problem they have, of course, is they haven't scored a goal against Melbourne City prior to tonight in 6 hours, 37 minutes of football.
I think Melbourne Victory took a similar tagline to Auckland. Snuffed at it. So they managed to turn that around. What a mighty, mighty tussle that was. Totally different challenge here for Western, of course.
Came slightly heavy off the leg of Nathaniel Atkinson, and Michael Roos was on it in a flash. And maybe that's any contact on the ball has caused it to deflate somewhat, and we need a replacement. By the way, Hubs, that tie I mentioned in the NSL 1997, Adelaide City and Marconi, the only other team to come from 3-0 down in a 2-legged tie. You remember that, that particular tie?
I was happily letting that one go through to the keeper. Thank you very much. I'm so kind of you, Simon.
And he was part of the Marconi team.
Not only that, I scored an own goal.
You did. I'm pleased you brought it up and I didn't have to.
Quite the onslaught we faced at Norwood Oval. Well, if that serves as inspiration for Western this evening, Simon, then I shall happily take a commission. Got to be worth something.
High Truin left a little short. Clearance was about the best he could manage. Western are back on the front foot. Michael Roos so strong, and another bullocking run down the left-hand side, but Atkinson sticking with him. Garuccio fouled, and Alex King says free kick. He might have allowed play to run on because the ball had broken for Wallity.
Well, it's a good, typically robust start from Michael Roos. He was like this last week as well, and the week before against Adelaide. He's found his sweet spot in the last 3 weeks. He should have scored last week, would have changed the complexion totally of the tie. And he's bounced back at the start of this game, which is good news for Western fans.
Dylan Leonard and Tomoki Imai have made their way forward for Garuccio's set piece, which is seen away at the back post by Steven Jugarkovic, who's immediately now just slumped to the turf because he needs to replace the left boot. City will be glad to have him back, although Zane Schreiber did a good job in defensive midfield. Jugarkovic certainly very much the first pick in that position. He's got his own reasons, of course, for wanting to win through to a grand final. He's part of the Newcastle Jets team that lost to Victory in 2018. Here's James Donachie, who played his own part in that particular final. Courtesy a bit of technological help, which Jets fans won't need reminding of. Bajic, Tilio, who was really good in the first leg, teed up the opening goal from a pinpoint corner onto the head of Germán Ferreira, who's about to receive the ball here. Towards Jonathan Cohen, who scored a beautiful second last Friday. City knocking the ball about crisply. Way back for Patrick Beach. It's pretty quickly shut down by Noah Botic.
Now, this is a very good start from Western United. They're giving themselves a chance to overhaul this very sizable deficit.
Thurgate losing out in midfield, and City are on the move. It's Andreas Kuhn Looking for Jonathan Cohen at the back post. Here is the Israeli international. Quite get enough elevation on the cross. Still there for Nathaniel Atkinson. And the cross looking for Max Caputo. And City claiming the corner, I must admit, at first glance, I thought they had a case, but goal kick is the verdict.
Well, after has been a good start. Angus Thurgoat with a heavy touch and plays himself then out of the game. A beautiful little back heel, or variation thereof, from Ferreira. Poorly defended on the far side by Western, which enabled a very dangerous cross to be delivered.
Aurelio Vidmar must have had quite the job to, I guess, guard against a little bit of complacency from Melbourne City. I guess it's only natural when you're 3-0 up to relax just a little bit. I'm sure he will have been drumming the message home this week. This tie is not over. Western United, one of the most free-scoring teams in the competition. More than capable of scoring 3 or 4 in a game. Bozanovski. Tilio. Muscled by Bozanovski, but good strength shown by Ferreira. Just glanced off the head of Ben Baruch. It's going to be a City throw.
Very good physical tussle. The press is really earnest from Western. Well organised, but City are very comfortable in their efforts to play out, keep possession, and once that press has been beaten, the field opens up and they're looking very likely, Melbourne City.
Another Melbourne City goal. Harps really would deflate Western.
Yeah, three is...
Here's Tilio. Imai drawn towards the ball, the low delivery. Steered away for now by Dylan Leonard. Picking up the scraps is Andreas Kuhn, who wasn't quite in position for that return ball from Tilio.
Yeah, 3 remains within the realms of believability. However difficult, the margin goes to 4. Don't know that there's going to be many who back Western to get out of that one. As again, you say, they've started strongly. The mentality is very positive.
Michael Roos, ping for handball. He almost caught that one. Maybe with a slight suspicion that he'd been impeded. By Truitt. Looking for and finding Tilio, and Imai collected him late. Free kick.
But it's such an important 1v1 situation set up here. The inclusion of James Donachie enables Western to move Tomoki Imai out. A lot of experience, a lot of quality, and pretty physical to take on Marco Tilio, who was outstanding last week. He's been pretty sharp to start this one.
Just got a glimpse there of Scott Jamieson, the assistant coach of Melbourne City. He was the captain the last, in fact, the only time that City have been champions, back in 2021. This team looking to emulate him. Kuhn linking up with Tilio. Gets the byline. Steered away by Garucho. Nudged by Bajic to leverage Danzaki away from the ball. Bajic again. Sight of Donachie enough to prevent, as is Bajic, from going full tilt at that release. Leonard cut out by Truitt, but straight at Danzaki. Tomoki Imai pushing forward down the right. Plenty in the box here for Western. Zaki. Little angle ball. Not quite on the same page as Tomoki Imai. Goal kick, Melbourne City. And we can go down to Michael Zapponi, who is pitch side for us tonight. Evening, Zappa.
Yeah, good evening, gents. Just on the point that Harps made regarding Tomoki Imai and Marco Tilio, that duel that we'll see tonight, John Aloisi was berating Imai just a minute ago because Tilio was in way too much space, and we saw Imai get forward on that occasion, and he will need to get forward throughout the course of the evening if Western United are to bridge this 3-goal gap. But he also needs to make sure he does not leave Tilio in any space at all on the other side of the pitch. Speaking of the pitch, it's in much better condition than it was last week. It's been a dry week in Melbourne. Remember, we had 3 games here last weekend, from Friday through to Sunday. He has recovered a lot and is in good nick tonight.
Certainly looks it. Thanks, Zappa. That's having to readjust slightly. Long ball forward, and Michael Roos will give chase. Oh, and Patrick Beach almost got himself in a terrible muddle there.
Wow, very, very fortunate for Melbourne City there. Great pressure again. Melbourne City this time forcing Western to knock the ball long, and it drops into that contestable area. Very, very lucky escape for Melbourne City there.
That's what Michael Roos can do. He can cause panic in defences. Such a strong runner, powerful, quick. And he doesn't give defenders a moment's peace. Is Abel Wallati. We know of his quality. We've seen it on several occasions this season. German Ferreira across to see it away to safety for City. Big show of faith in the young winger shown by John Aloisi tonight, Andy, to give him a start in a big finals game. Here he is trying to trick his way through the City defence. Offside flag against Thurgo.
Well, he's shown his quality. And he was good off the bench last week as they tried to retrieve the situation. Iwasuki, who's been fantastic since coming to the A-League at Adelaide and now Western, but he was a little short of a gallop last week. And to get some younger, more energetic legs around the field is certainly providing an advantage for Western, in some senses here at least.
Now Kuhn first to the rebound, and Tilio drives his effort wide. Pretty presentable opportunity that for Melbourne City.
Right, very good. And Kuhn, his decision-making, I think it's his strongest suit in a very capable hand. Andreas Kuhn's decision-making, when to pass, when not to, is really top of the pops, and put Tilio in front of goal, and the Socceroos should have done better there.
Ugarkovic, that's a lovely ball by Steven Ugarkovic. Tilio split the Western defence in two, and Ugarkovic there again to try and plate it into the bottom corner. Well, he got the protractor out in the set square and found the space. That's not quite so impressive, but Sesbage retrieves the situation and then gives his teammate a spray for that rather errant pass. Thurgate. There's Wallati alongside. Wallati. Quite clever enough to find a way past Nathaniel Atkinson.
Yeah, so the last 2 or 3 attacks, I think Western have just overcooked it a little. And certainly at this early stage in the match, if head up, if it's set and there are players in your colour in or around the 6-yard box, the penalty spot, I just give Patrick Beach something to think about.
And we've mentioned the Tilio-Imai one-on-one duel. That's another key one tonight. Wallati up against Nathaniel Atkinson. See how the young kid goes. That one's certainly one for the Socceroo. There we go. Western United yet to register a touch inside Melbourne City's penalty area. Did though City have one moment of panic?
Yeah.
Goalkeeper.
But they have been up there 2 or 3 times and they've turned out, just tried to make a little bit more sure of things. And certainly understand that. But put the pressure on the keeper as soon as you can. See if you can find a crack.
Kewen trying to do that at the other end for City. Dylan Leonard, still just 17 years of age. What a breakthrough season he's had. Truin, Pereira, Lapane. City building nicely here. Atkinson, Caputo, and off Donachie behind for a corner.
He comes from deep, Nathaniel Atkinson. Right-hand side, but they haven't been able to stop him so far tonight. He's had 2 or 3 runs, good forays forward, and things have really tilted the way of City with him at the ball and running down that right-hand side or just inside the touchline.
Yeah, it's around this time of the game last week when City won a corner and Tilio's delivery was headed in by German Ferreira. He's lurking again at the back post. Jonathan Cohen's delivery. Good header away by Botic. Recycled through Tilio. Cohen. And Caputo heads just wide.
And that's the difference between the teams so far this evening, Simon. Both have started the game really well. But Melbourne City have taken the opportunity to get the ball into the danger zone and put the Western defence under pressure. Western haven't done that when they've had the chance to, and that would have been curtains. It's a really strong effort from Caputo.
Trying to break clear of Tilio, was dragging him back. Adam Kersey just signalling to the players that he did see that. Allowed the advantage. With the attempted ball over the top. Bruce, Botic. Galicio is really having a stretch to reel that one in. Strong win in the challenge by Thurgate. Bruce. Here's Reece Bozanovski, just got away from him. And now City looking to spring forward on the counter. Tilio leading the charge, has options right and left. Here's Jonathan Cohen, pushed away, and Aziz Bayic will finish it. And in the process, maybe finishes this tie. City 1-0 up on the night, 4-0 now over the 2 legs. And Aziz Bayic, who up until a few weeks ago hadn't scored an A-League goal in over a decade, now has 2 in a matter of a few matches. Is that the killer blow in this semi-final?
Well, last week Melbourne City won it with 2 great technical executions. This time on the Harvey Norman replay, it's a lack of technique from Bozanovski, unfortunately, which compromises his team, and you'd think fatally. As Tilio launches the counter-attack with an incredible foot speed of his. Cohen looking to reprise last week. Sutton makes the save tonight, but he can't do anything about the rebound. And Max Caputo has probably made tonight kaput for Western United. Coming back from 4, that's more than a miracle.
Well, he's a very, very rare goal scorer, Aziz Bayic. And he got that first A-League goal in 11 years against Sydney FC. on the final weekend of the regular season. And now he's bagged one in the finals as well. And if it was a mountain that Western had to climb beforehand, Andy Harper, it's Everest now.
Well, their own attacking situation there was so promising, that lack of technique then and perhaps now.
Tilio skipping clear. Caputo lets it run. Cohen across the face. And Cohen couldn't quite apply the finishing touch.
They're feverish. Melbourne City on those counter-attacks, swooping on any error. A disappointment for Johnny Aloisi and the team. That last attack was so promising, and they end up conceding a goal, and they might have doubled their advantage with another cheap turnover, and they don't wait for a second invitation. They're sharp as attack, Melbourne City, at the moment.
Thurgate winning that tussle with Caputo, and he had to. Look how tigerish Melbourne City are to any contested ball. Beach will guide it all the way back to Patrick Beach. A reminder that the A-League season may be coming to a close, but two huge qualifiers coming up for the Socceroos. They entertain Japan in Perth on the 5th of June. You'll see that game live on Network 10 and Paramount Plus. And then, of course, a few days later, they make the trip to Saudi Arabia to finish off the third round of qualifying. Tony Popovic's team very much within range of qualifying for a 6th consecutive World Cup finals. Well, so far as finals football is concerned, John Aloisi and his team are now in uncharted territory if they're going to win this tie. Simple passes going astray at the moment for Western under this incessant City pressure. And we've said this before, Andy, but you've really got to hand it to Aurelio Vidmar, given the injuries that his squad has suffered this season, to keep them not just competitive, but right up there near the top of the table, and now surely on the cusp of another grand final. It's some testament to the depth of his squad.
Yeah, he's done an amazing job. Get into the Asian Champions League Elite next year. Very big prize for them. Biggest domestic prize is within grasp, at least of an appearance, to contest the championship with their crosstown rivals, barring a mega miracle from Western, who started really well, but understandably just, you know, the wind's gone out of their sails. And so ruthlessly put away by that counter-attack. Very promising attacking situation for Western. Not good enough to keep control of the ball and with the open field. Melbourne City plunged the dagger.
To further rub salt in their wounds, it's now past 7 hours since they scored a goal against Melbourne City. Donkey wanting an option. Western have just got to be careful they don't let the heads drop and the concentration waver. They're giving the ball away an awful lot at the moment. Bajic. Got that one completely wrong. All the numbers, whichever way you slice it, favouring Aurelio Vidmar's team. 7 shots already for City. Western yet to register. Nice ball cut out by Bajic. Thurgates, and now Bozanovski was fouled by Alessandro Lopane. There's that little kick on Thurgate, but Kurzu was happy to let that one ride. It was the second challenge on Bozanovski that was the problem. Slid wide by Wallity. Here's Garuccio. And Atkinson again. Really well defended. Jonathan Cohen streaks away down the right. Rewarding the run of Lopane. Caputo. Just the finish missing, really, again for City.
I mean, it's scary for Western as they look to peg one back. Another promising situation. The tigerishness of the Melbourne City one-on-one efforts and the collective defending has been really strong. And they spring upfield, and it's just as likely as not that Sutton in the Western goal is going to have to do some work. Didn't quite get a telling effort on goal.
There's a bit of space for Botic, and the moment it appeared, he produced possibly his worst touch of the match so far.
And that's it. I mean, the effort is still clear from Western and the intent, but too many heavy touches.
Another errant pass, this time from Michael Roos. Caputo leaping highest. Melbourne City in total control. Kuhn, upended by Tomoki Imai. Maybe a little bit of a problem with the hamstring for Andreas Kuhn. He's had his issues. Yeah, actually, I think it might just be a kick to that area.
Yeah, little knee.
Has had his
upper thigh.
Soft tissue injuries this season, of course.
Yeah, it makes a big difference to the team when he's available. Tomoki Imai just got him in the back of the thigh.
Cohen. Free kick City. Quickly down to Michael Zapponi. What does John Aloisi do from here, do you think, Zappers?
Well, he's trying to be really encouraging to his players. We know it's such a young side, and you can just get the sense that their heads have dropped. And Johnny Aloisi trying to be so positive and getting messages out to them and clapping his hands every time they do something positive. So really just trying to get them to be positive in this next 15 minutes.
Thanks, Zappa. There's some pretty glum faces on that Western bench, though, weren't they? Tillia swinging it in, looking for the head of Caputo. Dylan Leonard there ahead of him. Imai backed into a corner. Kuhn takes over. Nice little ball for Jugarkovic, and tries to beat Matt Sutton in the near post. Even the passes from the goalkeeper are going astray at the moment for Western. Lopane. Atkinson. Good intervention by Bozanovsky. There's no way through for Western. City on the move again. Cohen. Out again by Leonard. Cohen once more. Away from Thurgate. Lompane's cross. And into the grateful arms of Matt Sutton in the end.
Oh, it's a long way to full time here from Western United at the moment. It's taking that cue. Now, Zappa's rightly referred to the youth on show for Western United, but equally there's some very experienced players there who are going to have to start lifting a load. Donachie at the back, Tomoki Imai.
Quality skipping clear of Atkinson, perhaps for the first time tonight. Danzaki. Seen a lot of him so far. Imai's cross. But not yet away by Ugarkovic. Thurgate looking for Botic. Western's best chance. And over the bar it goes.
You don't want it dropping to any other player in green and black if you're looking to turn a tie around. But finally, they completed an attack inside the Melbourne City penalty area, and it drops to Botic. You wouldn't want anyone else in that position. You can't get over the top of the ball.
He's only fit enough to start on the bench last week, but he has produced Western's first attempt at least. Score of 14 goals this season, or 15 if you count the elimination final game as a hat-trick. There's a little bit of debate about that. Where do you stand on that, Harps? Is it a Botic goal or a Bart Vriend's own goal?
Yeah.
Certain sources have it one way.
Yeah, what's the official line?
Well, I think the A-Leagues are crediting Botic with the hat-trick.
I'll go with that. Always go with the striker.
You would. Only I think Bart Vriend's would be quite happy with that as well. Scooped up in the air by Beach. Caputo was always going to win out in the air, but the ball did settle for a moment in favour of Thurgate. Now Caputo driving forward. Here's Jonathan Cohen. And Leonard got his body in the way. Another corner though.
Well, the counter-attacking from Melbourne City this evening just been so sharp, so fast, so pointed. Good recovery in the end by Leonard. Another good opportunity opening up.
Again, Melbourne City have a cluster of players, 5 of them, all waiting to make their move from Cohen's delivery. He goes top of the box instead for Bajic. Back through Cohen. And here's Ugarkovic at the back stick. Ferreira attempting to keep the move going. Ugarkovic. Out by Donachie. Off the boot of Danzaki, but straight at Tilio. Tilio. Gonna have a go here. Oh, it's a good effort and a good save from Matt Sutton. That was goal bound. City are just relentless. Atkinson's made a burst forward. Cut out though by Garuccio. And Western are struggling just to keep their heads above water here.
Just to hang on. Just to hang on. It's relentless. And a good side of it with Matt Sutton, but still with a good save to his left.
Just starting starting to rise, wasn't it, the ball? So to make sure that he got it away from goal. Good save. Sitting beautifully through that press. Really good football up until the point where Caputo dragged down Dylan Leonard. Quickly taken free kick. Tomoki Imai. Has Danzaki outside. Imai's continued the run. And the goal kick is the upshot. Trying to get forward at every potential opportunity, Tomoki Imai.
Yeah, and they're getting numbers forward. They're just not getting the ball in the box ultimately to cause any trouble at all. They've done it once and had a good chance with the Bodic header.
Now the Matildas are back in action on Friday. See their game against Argentina live on 10 and 10 Bowls and Paramount Plus as they build towards that home Women's Asian Cup next year. Still no official announcement on new Matildas coaches yet. Pereira stepping across Botic. Quality. Not so easily shrugged off the ball. Ugarkovic. Turned back by Lopade. I guess one of the things John Aloisi will be telling his players is just forget the scoreline. Play for the next goal. Easier said than done, of course.
Of course, but
Lopade. Cohen has Atkinson on the overlap. Nathaniel Atkinson with the cutback. Lopade and Cohen. Oh, would have been a glorious goal.
It's
had Cohen been able to provide the finish.
tough one. It wouldn't have been good, but every attack, it seems, Simon, at least every attack, Melbourne City end up with an effort on goal or close to. Western can't boast that, and I know their confidence has taken a hit.
An equaliser would make them feel a whole lot better. Rose's back heel didn't quite find its range.
Just a series of turnovers, and I'd say, well, the stats surely would be eye-watering on Jules 1. I can't really see how Melbourne City have missed many when it's gotten to a one-on-one scrap. Here's another one, forcing them back, getting a toe in. Geez, they're in good nick at the moment. This has been quite something, this first half from Melbourne City.
There's a real hunger about them, isn't there?
He's hard to please, Aurelio Vidmar. And I'm sure he'll try and find something wrong with this first half from his team, but certainly appetite and energy and intensity can't be a complaint. They've just been so sharp.
Ugarkovic in space. Kuhn. Tilio wanted the long ball. Kuhn went short. Nice layoff by Roos. Thurgate. This looks promising for Western. Garuccio. And here's Abel Wallati. Round one defender could save Patrick Beach. Another presentable opening for Western United. Kuhn not going to be able to link up with Caputo. A bit of encouragement for the green and black. Wallati, whose dribble provided it, still going. Looking for the foul. It's going to be disappointed. Cohen just gave the ball up in anticipation of a whistle that never came. Here's Danzaki. Riku Danzaki, it's off the frame of the goal, and Beach with a miraculous save, and he's there again to deny Michael Roos on the follow-up. That is quite extraordinary goalkeeping.
Well, when you're out of luck, finally they pull the trigger. Beaten on the first occasion, the second one was quite freakish from Patrick Beach, and the follow-up was pretty routine. But I tell you, Hamilton Cohen has copped it from 3 or 4 of his teammates for just stopping, expecting the referee to blow for a foul.
Caputo's ball was behind Cohen, Tilio. When you've not scored against a particular team for well over 7 hours, Harps, and that sort of things happen. That sort of thing happens, I should say. Yes, you are sort of tempted to believe it's just not going to be your evening.
If not then when? And at least from a Western viewpoint, it's had to save one of a couple of occasions in quick succession. The save off Wallity and then the double effort then.
Parney driving into that space ahead of him. Cohen. Atkinson to stretch a bit to reel it in. Lapane's cross, awkward for Donachie. Did well. Thumped upfield by Leonard. The chase is on. Truin being pursued by Roos, but his calmness personified.
It's the great get out of jail free card for a defending team, isn't it? Head the ball back to the goalkeeper.
Are you suggesting we outlaw that as well, Harvey?
I reckon it's a rule change. It's worth having a go. And you can't pass the ball back to the goalkeeper on any other occasion.
Well, you can. He just can't pick it up.
Well, exactly. I would just make that consistent. Anyway, you did ask.
Atkinson. Over the head of Caputo. Bit of a slice off the left peg of Imai. Cohen. Worth a go. Starting to get back to something, you sense, approaching his best form after that long injury layoff.
Yeah. Hasn't he got great quality? We saw it last week with the goal he scored. Pretty fleeting contributions outside of that. He's been more involved tonight. He has got great quality.
A goal and an assist last week. I'm not sure quite how much he knew about the assist. He's trying to tee one up here for Max Caputo as well, but something out together. Credit to Western. There was a little 10-minute period, Andy, where you sensed that the heads had really dropped. And they were perhaps just going through the motions a little bit, but they've lifted a bit since then and forced Patrick Beach into some really good work.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. You've got to admire a team that's got it all to do, and then some. Of course, the last thing they want is to collapse completely.
1 minute about in time at the end of the first half, as indicated by Ben Abraham, the fourth official. Roos tackle from behind by German Ferreira. Donachie. Danzaki. Position for the return from Thurgate. Bozanovski. And it breaks down off the head of Botic. Bozanovski. Out towards Garuccio, a little untidily, but now Roos finds himself in space and he's going to drive for goal. Routine in the end for Beach. And that is half-time in this second leg, and John Aloisi's team have an absolute mountain to climb, as is Page with the only goal of the first half. It came after 20 minutes. After another flowing move from Melbourne City, they put together quite a few in the opening stanza. At the other end, though, also they've been grateful to their goalkeeper, Patrick Beach. One good save from Abel Wallity, and then a couple of minutes after that, an unbelievable stop to deny Noah Botic. But in terms of the tie, it's looking increasingly likely we're going to have an all-Melbourne, and by all-Melbourne I mean City and Victory grand final next week. At the break in the second leg, 1-0 to Melbourne City, 4-0 City now leading on aggregate. We're off to a break. On the other side of it, join the team for their thoughts on the first half. Don't go away.
Come on, City fans, let's get behind our actors. Half-time heroes.
This year's Alex Tobin Medal is brought to you by Isuzu UTE. The winner of the prestigious award will win their choice of a brand new top-of-the-range Isuzu D-Max or 7-seat MUX. Plus, the Isuzu UTE Alex Tobin medalist will nominate a junior football club to win $10,000. Make sure you're watching this season's grand final when the winning player and club will be revealed.
Western United have made a double substitution.
Well, a couple of changes for Western United at the break. Hiroshi Ibasuki has been brought on to provide a bit of goal threats, and Tate Russell is on as well. Matt Leckie is on the pitch for the second half for City 2 in place of Alessandro Lupane. Let's quickly go down to Michael Zapponi, who caught up with Aziz Bayic.
Aziz, you're 4 goals to the good now. At what point in the second half do you start thinking about next week?
No, we don't. You know, we took this game just as a 0-0 game. That's the mentality, and that's what we've got to do this half. We forget the 3 goals in last week's game, and we just got to play to the best of our ability and know what we're doing, and that's what's got us here all year.
Thanks for joining me.
There we go, 2 goals in 3 games for Aziz Bayic, after waiting over a decade for one. So Melbourne City halfway to what would be a 5th grand final in 6 seasons. And we're 45 minutes away, Andy Harper, from a first ever Melbourne derby grand final between Victory and City.
Yeah, Simon, and the second only derby decider. I think Newcastle and the Mariners were the only other match-up to win the championship. So it is all pointing towards that. Western will be wanting to leave the scene, if that is wants to eventuate with a bang rather than a whimper. That will be their challenge in this half. And Melbourne City's first half was a championship half of football. Jeez, they were good.
Confirmation of those changes. Leckie for Lupane for City. And for Western, Tate Russell on for Tomoki Imai. And Hiroshi Ibasuki replacing Michael Roos. Here's the goal scorer. Aziz Bayic going for the early delivery, trying to seek out Caputo. That's not quite going to beat Matt Sutton and go behind for a corner. So it's just a throw for Melbourne City.
And it's small beer, really, for Western United. And this is not to chip away at what Melbourne City have built so far this evening. But they certainly didn't have luck in front of goal, Western. And it wasn't just that save from Sutton, which took a little deflection on the way as well, but it was that mistake in the clearance at one time, or could easily have bounced clear for Michael Roos, who effectively would have had a tap in.
Western have turned the ball over, and Leckie trying to pounce on that mistake. James Donachie ensures it's just a corner.
And on those sorts of moments, things can change in a cup tie, but like I said, it is all small beer, because they've been utterly ruthless tonight. Melbourne City looking fantastic.
Well, again, City have got that line of players at the back post ready to make their move. Jonathan Cohen's delivery, which of course goes straight towards the near post, where Abel Wallity was stationed. Cohen's not keen on taking the throw. Leaves it for Nathaniel Atkinson, who, along with Marco Tilio, the only survivors from City's championship win in 2021. Both have been overseas in between as well. Atkinson. The ball did bounce up, and there were 1 or 2 shouts from the City fans for a handball against Ben Garucha. It was completely accidental, in fairness. Scoop forward, clever by Cohen. City getting their passing game going again. Ugarkovic top of the box. Sorted out by Danzaki. Western looking to spring forward on the counter. A little push by Leckie on Thurgate gives Western a free kick and relieves that bit of pressure. Let's have a look at that handball shout again. Yeah, it comes off his leg. Might have even struck Leckie on the arm.
It can't be a handball anyway. If the defender deflects onto their own arm.
Yep.
Which is a bizarre rule in itself, but that's certainly the rule.
Most famous case of that, I seem to remember, was Mark Milligan at the Asian Cup 2019.
Big 45 minutes this for Matthew Leckie, and for grand final day. He's been reduced to bid part because of repeated injuries this year, but there's 45 minutes to get him ready for the championship match.
He's only played in 2 losing grand finals as well. Missed out in 2021. He was on international duty. As Atkinson looks to tee up the second. Nicely mopped up by Tate Russell, who skips away down the right. A reminder of Western United's team. They made 3 changes at the start, including the return of James Donachie, Noah Botic, and also the inclusion of Abel Wallity. Further changes at the break with Tate Russell's arrival, along with Hiroshi Obasuki. City restoring Nathaniel Atkinson and Steven Ugarkovic to their starting 11. Garuccio, Wallity let it run. Ferreira was impeded there by Angus Thurgate cutting across him, and it's a sore one for the Argentine.
Hasn't he been terrific? Again, he's spent most of the season not injured, but waiting for a chance. Cyprien was the mainstay. Kai Truan and Ferreira played a lot of football, really. And he's been excellent in the last few weeks for his team. Scored the first goal last week. He loves it when it's tough and dirty.
Sure, he enjoyed that kick to the inside of the left knee, though, from Angus Thurgate. Adam Kersey wants the goal kick retaken. Russell boots it forward, and Truin returns it with interest. Obasuki and Botic not quite on the same wavelength there, both going for the same ball. Otherwise, they've had a very profitable partnership, those two, this season. 25 goals between them. Andreas Kuhn able to turn and face forward. Lovely threaded ball through for Tilio. And Tilio hits the side netting.
I'm not sure if the end brought a miss-hit cross or an intentional shot, but it was beautifully found again by Kuhn. Tate Russell was played out under intense pressure from Bozanovski. He used his body beautifully and then threads the ball for Tilio. And I guess was meaning to cross that ball.
Let's quickly cross to Michael Zapponi. What did you manage to glean from the two coaching staffs at half-time, Zappa?
Well, I know Aziz Bage said to me that they're not going to be thinking about next week, but at 4-0, I dare say that Aurelio Vidmar will have an eye on next week and start thinking about the players he wants to preserve, especially Jonathan Cohen and Andreas Kuhn, who have had a lot of injuries this season.
It's 5 against 3 here. Western committed numbers forward. City delayed just a little too long. Tilio. Fair challenge by Bozanovski. City so quick to win the ball back. Cohen. Caputo. Blocked by Donachie. Western hanging on. Leckie looking back post. Out by Russell. Further clear by Bozanovski. And then Kuhn got one straight in the face off the boot of Riku Danzaki. The ball, that is, not the boot. But I guess Western have got to take a few chances in the second half. and look to at least try and give Melbourne City something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, the golf tonight is not just on the scoreboard. It certainly maybe plays into Western psyche a little bit. They've just been... They've come up against a team who is at full tilt at the moment. He's worked them hard this year on the training paddock. Aurelia Vidmar, and maybe at some cost along the way. They look primed for a serious tilt at that trophy next week.
And does that, to your mind, Andy, that's a free kick. Foul committed by Thurgate. Install them as favourites, and we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but assuming they do play Victory in the final.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, Victory did the business today with just a couple of shots on goal. And Western haven't been able to take their chances, and they've had a couple. It would have changed the balance maybe, but with having gotten their noses in front, Melbourne City have just continued to forge ahead in this position now where all the touches are great, the movements are fluent.
Tilio's going to race onto that one, showing that he's got that searing pace back, because I'm not sure he was strong favourites. Talking of Melbourne Victory, that's just got up around Amy Park, and hence the boos from the City supporters. They're already practicing a few chants ahead of next week. Tilio's corner. Back post is Truin, and it's going to loop it. No, saved by Sutton, and then put wide at the back post by Cohen, when really it looked easier to score from point-blank range.
Well, again, Kai Truin, they got caught with an unmarked player from a corner to start last week, and it's nearly made it a fifth goal over 2 legs here. But in the end, Sutton does really well to swap that one clear, and Cohen had a couple of other defenders in front to navigate. Not a lay-down was there that he would have scored from there, but he hits it wide anyway.
Different angle. Was a really good save by Matt Sutton. Had to scramble across his line.
Caputo with a chance for a brace there for the night. Missed with his head, hits his shoulder.
Angus Thurgate with another foul. Might be getting close to attracting a yellow card from Adam Kersey. Leckie. Cross had the sting taken out of it by Russell, and Thurgate hammers it away upfield. It's the right idea by Kewitt. It's not quite the execution. Sutton's ball will find its way through for Abel Wallerty here. Chance to run it, Nathaniel Atkinson. He hasn't really had an awful lot of change out of him tonight.
He's had a couple of good runs tonight, but Nathaniel Atkinson missed last week. Has shown tonight just what a fabulous season he's had. He's carried on in tremendous form.
Lovely touch by Kewitt to set up this latest attack. Bache steaming forward. As is Bache, and the scraps here might yet fall for Cohen. Seen out by Garuccio for now. Jugarkovic, Leckie, a lot of traffic there. Andreas Kuhn. Well, I think he tried in the end to do a little back heel towards goal.
Well, he probably had one more pass in him. Out to Aziz Bache. They were queuing up there, Melbourne City. They're completely overrunning Western. It's going to be a big factor next week as Victory travel home from New Zealand and get ready. How do you match the run of Melbourne City?
Atkinson gliding past Wallerty. through Ferreira. Jugarkovic. City trying to draw Western United out. Lovely touch by Leckie. And a fair bit on that from Cohen, which was too much for Tilio. And we're going to see another change or two. Callum Talbot for Nathaniel Atkinson for City. And Matt Grimaldi replaces Abel Wallity for Western.
And substitution for Western photograph number 20, Abel Wallity, has been replaced by number 10, Matt Grimaldi.
Well, to Zappa's point, I would definitely put that substitution for Melbourne City as putting Nathaniel Atkinson in cotton wool for next week.
Yep. Callum Talbot, more than capable replacement. And I guess that's been a part of why City had such a good season so far. They've always had a good replacement, be there an experienced player. I mean, when you can bring Matt Leckie off the bench, that's a big statement, but also some of the younger players who've really had breakthrough campaigns.
Yeah, the kids in Melbourne City have certainly been a headline. Outside of those players making their very first matches as A-League players.
So let's see how this develops through Grimaldi. Held up by Ferreira. Gives it straight back to Garuccio though. Grimaldi again. Cut out by Leckie. It's going to be a free kick. Matt Leckie's going to be penalised for lunging in on Matt Grimaldi.
Yes. Just to finish that point about Melbourne City, there has been a story of the kids, but they've just got such incredible depth at the other end of the playing career too. I mean, you don't even mention nowadays Jimmy Jego and Andrew Maboot. Long-term injuries to both, and hopefully they're recovering well. But the point is, they've got good kids coming through. They've relied on top heavy with a lot of quality, incredible depth at Melbourne City.
Zankas Thurgate lining up a shot here. There's a wall of three guarding the near post. Yep. Straight at Beach. Well, if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the lottery. And that never looked likely.
That was a tame effort in the end, but like you say, worth a go. It remains a moot point, and certainly as Melbourne City have run away with it. But that opening 10 minutes or so when Western were really putting the effort in, actually it's not the right description because they've been using maximum effort, but those first 3 or 4 attacks when they could have put the City goalkeeper and central defenders under some sort of pressure, they decided not to. I think they overcooked it, second-guessed themselves, and I don't know. In the world, if's a big word in football, and they'll be asking that question of themselves. If last week, and then maybe if tonight, on balance, this Melbourne City team has been awesome.
Those numbers that you just saw on the top of the screen really confirm it. They haven't got any better in an attacking sense for Western United since the restart. It's a good turn out of harm's way from Reece Bozanovski. Leckie too strong for Grimaldi.
Well, I know we're talking about Matt Leckie here. It's perhaps not a fair example because he is one of the great athletes in the game, but that was a perfect snapshot of the difference between the two teams, that last exchange between Matt Leckie and Matt Grimaldi.
City had an overlap there on the left, but Puto's ball lacked pace. Curran is not going to reach that one. Let's go back down to Michael Zappone. He's got a A bit of info on Melbourne Victory's preparations for the big dance next week, Zappa.
Yeah, just been in touch with the Victory camp. Can confirm they're on a 3 p.m. flight from Auckland tomorrow. So they'll do their recovery at the hotel tomorrow morning in Auckland and then not get back into Melbourne till very late tomorrow night. So perhaps a slight edge for Melbourne City, given they don't have to travel and they can sleep in their own beds tonight.
Thanks, Zappa. No official confirmation either as yet, Harps, where the grand final will be played. We assume it's going to be here next Saturday. Those tickets, you'd imagine, for a first ever Melbourne Derby grand final will be like gold dust. Here's Andreas Kuhn. He wants to get in on the scoring act, but dragged his effort wide of that left-hand upright.
That's all he's been missing in the last couple of weeks, a goal himself. He provides beautiful architecture for this team. Dragging Dylan Leonard out of his central defensive position. Doesn't miss many exchanges like that, the youngster. Couldn't do anything about Andreas Kuhn then. Another turnover.
Now Isuzu. Chance for Western United here. Grimaldi, and they've got one. Noah Botic squares the ledger on the night and pulls it back to 4-1 on aggregates. Just a little glimmer of hope and something for those Western United fans to cheer. Finally, they have a goal against Melbourne City.
Well, the first goal tonight for Melbourne City came because of a turnover from Western United. Ugarkovic on the Harvey Norman replay, in his own way, has returned the favour. And Isuzu just delays nicely. And the ball fires across to Botic. He still needs a deflection off Patrick Beach to go in. But it was a good counter-attack from Western United. Do they still believe?
Well, maybe St. Pauli are taking note somewhere. He's the top goal scorer in the Isuzu A-League men's competition this season, in matches including finals football, of course. And a goal drought of 7 hours and 33 minutes against this particular opposition is finally broken by Western United. And I'll ask this question tentatively, Andy. They couldn't, could they?
Rhetorical question, of course.
Yes.
Well, we can sit and opine. It's whether the players believe they can force another chance, an error, get ahead of steam.
Still a quarter of the game to go. Sent forward by Leonard, repelled by Ugarkovic. Grimaldi, whose assist it was for the equaliser, Danzaki. All of a sudden there's a bit of a spring in the step of Western United. Russell's cross deflected, awkward for Beach, and he was fouled by Isuzu. And that spin on the ball via the deflection made that one a really tricky thing to deal with for Patrick Beach.
That certainly was, and it brings Isuzu into play. And just reaching with the arm, which was the foul. Not so much the challenge, although it does seem as soon as there's any contact on a goalkeeper inside that 6-yard box, it's going to be a foul in their favour, but not always the case. But the leading arm from Isuzu, I think, was the differentiating factor there. Would have made things interesting. A goal then. Still more than 20 minutes to play here.
Leckie just shrugs Grimaldi off the ball as if he wasn't there. A little shove on Angus Thurgate will bring about a whistle from Adam Kersey. City just a little rattled.
Games change. Games change. In a moment's goals in particular, but little moments, and all of a sudden Western United who are finding it difficult to get passes to stick. Now it's City who are looking a little frantic, still very, very comfortable with the 3-goal buffer.
Already Vidmar's going to go to his bench presently. Zane Schreiber and Medin Mehmeti are ready to come on. Marco Tilio has his number called. And Steven Ugarkovic will be the other one. I do fancy, similar to the substitution of Nathaniel Atkinson, that's more to save players who have had their injury concerns this season for the grand final next week and make sure they don't pick up any unnecessary injuries. Unless you read it differently, Harps.
No, we've got the same script here.
First time for everything.
Maybe.
Garucio's free kick. Kuhn colliding with Russell and falling awkwardly. He's looking around hopefully for a referee's whistle, which didn't come. Here's Thurgate. One more here for Western would really make it an interesting last 20 minutes. City not of a mind to open that door. That's a foul by Garuccio, and it's going to be a yellow card. Oh, and Aziz Bajic flying into Ben Garuccio. The two captains engaging in a game of push and shove, and then everybody else was pretty quick to join in. And really, Aziz Bajic, irritated as he might have been with that challenge on Max Caputo, didn't really need to dive in that strongly.
Yeah, he'll get himself a yellow card, surely. Garuccio will get one for the challenge.
Yeah, I think the yellow card was already out for Ben Garuccio. Whether Bajic gets one for retaliation. I think he thought he might have escaped there, Aziz Bajic, but
this is frustration from Garuccio because they had a chance again to launch an attack.
Yeah, Bajic has been booked as well as you watch this replay.
Yeah, and the response from Aziz Bajic is really over the top. And maybe it's a senior moment from a senior player just to spark his team up. Maybe sensing that, you know, Western have there's a little glimmer of hope here for them. We've got to snuff it out now. I'll take a yellow card. I'll just pour a little bit of petrol on this, see if I can get my teammates to respond.
Yeah, it's certainly been the flattest spot in the game for Melbourne City, who otherwise have been in almost total control. Goals can do that to games. Reminder of the weekly kickoff. It's Wednesday, 5 o'clock. Repeated at 10:30 p.m. on all the usual channels. Included this week a big look ahead to this year's grand final. It's rather wasteful from Tate Russell. Western were in a good situation there.
Players in the box. I mean, from that angle, the first option, can I get this onto Ibasuki's head? And they went, or Tate Russell in this case, went for that one extra pass in behind. Again, just overcooked it, as well as overhitting the actual pass. With Ibasuki running onto a in-swinging ball. That would have been my option.
Well, whatever happens from here on in tonight, one thing that's not in doubt, Harps, is that Western United have had a good season. They finished 11th last year, so this has been a really good recovery. Maybe in the end a little bit of inexperience has cost them. Bajic thought that boot was a little high from Botic. Here's Grimaldi. Taking on his man, and Ferreira having to divert the ball behind.
Well, there are some shards of light coming from underneath the door for Western United. The door being Melbourne City's hitherto impeccable defending. But just some light of hope starting to break through for Western on the back of that goal.
And they've got this set piece still, which Thurgate delivers towards the back post. Oh, it's a great save by Patrick Beach. Another one from point blank range to push the ball away. Schreiber sees it out for a throw-in. And our young goalkeeper has saved them once or twice tonight. Good flick on towards Grimaldi. A loose ball here. Will favour Botic, but his centre was way too strong for his teammates.
A chance. It's this great little bit of self-belief here from Western United. Great leap from Dylan Leonard. Good reactions from Beach.
Made two really good stops in the first half, Patrick Beach. First to deny Abel Wallity, and secondly, after Danzaki had hit the post. A save from Noah Botic. That was just as good to deny Leonard. Here's Ibasuki, up in the air by Ferreira, but not away as yet. And now Western United fans turn to appeal for handball inside the City penalty area. Ball's gone out. It's going to be another Western United corner. Good pressure this.
Excellent pressure, isn't it?
There's the little handball shout against Kai Truin. Rami Nazarene is going to be introduced next break in play, but not before this corner is going to be taken. Garucio's delivery. Caputo at the near post for City, and Talbot. It's a size 9 through it. Sent long by Sutton, off the head of Ibasuki. Botic trying to free up Grimaldi. Back in by Leonard. City really having to withstand a good spell of pressure here from Western United. Desperately trying to keep this tie alive. It still looks very unlikely. 3 goals needed to send us into extra time. And a foul by Bozanovski just relieves that bit of pressure. And here's that change for Western. It's going to be Rami Nazarene in place of Riku Danzaki, who hit the post in the first half. Nazarene on to face one of his former employers. Thurgate looking to bring Nazarene into the play straight away.
Well, certainly not as composed Melbourne City at the moment as they've been for the bulk of this game. This is a great late charge from Western United.
And if they are going to lose this tie, Andy, this is more the way they want to lose it. Die with your boots on.
Well, I think that's a point very well made, and I'm sure that's the attitude. And still evidently believing they can force one more crack and all hell could break loose here.
Leonard's jabbing it into the path of Garuccio just in the nick of time as well. Nazarene gets the return from Russell. Leonard. Couldn't find Grimaldi. Tolman. Ball's going to break here for Jonathan Cohen. Lucky for Tolman. City just happy to have a bit of possession. Have not seen as much of the ball in the last 10 minutes. All the way back for Beach. Ferreira straight at Bozanovski. He couldn't control it. Into the last 10 minutes of the second leg. Attention was Cohen there from Kuhn. Forward for Bozanovski. It's a lovely touch by Mehmeti. Kuhn, chance to finish it here. Jonathan Cohen, Lecky, surely off the line by Russell, and Kuhn can't finish it either. And now the offside flag goes up. It was like the Keystone Cops at the back there for a moment.
They were dropping like 9 pins. That certainly would have finished things the way they started, actually, with a Western United turnover and a flood forward of City players in counter-attack. That was the offside player.
It was Mehdi Mehmeti, head in hands from quite a few City fans. Not quite able to believe what they just witnessed. More changes afoot from both benches. Jonathan Cohen to be replaced by Kamian Romani, and Jordan Lawton is on as well for Melbourne City in place of Reece Bozanovski. Shriver did well to readjust. A tight situation there to retain possession of the ball for City. Have City just weathered that little storm? Is that what you sense, Hubs?
Yeah. It was just a couple of occasions again when Western just couldn't keep the ball and enabled Melbourne City to get back into their groove, just to retighten the vice.
Hooked away by Ferreira. Russell under pressure, can't keep it alive. Those Western fans perhaps came more in hope than expectation this evening, and their team has certainly put in plenty of effort and had a really good spell in the second half. That one's kept alive by Ibasuki, and Botic with a complete miscue. Trying to generate pace when perhaps precision was required.
Yeah, and Matt Grimaldi was there in support. No one was expecting Isuzu to save that one. And bounced clear for Melbourne City.
Big turn by Thurgate. Nazarene. Held up briefly by Truin. Here's Grimaldi. And skews away off the left peg of Germán Ferreira and away for a corner.
And they keep coming, Western United. You have to admire it. Strength of character to keep pushing on with great will.
And you never know, a goal here could really put the frighteners up Melbourne City. 5 minutes to go. Don't know yet how much injury time. Garuccio's corner off a Melbourne City head. Down goes Donachie, and there are pretty big shouts for a penalty by some Western United players. Adam Kersey unmoved for now. Lara Lee will review those pictures, of course, in VAR. Here's Garuccio's cross, and Beach claims ahead of a whole line of traffic.
Well, there was a high boot from Matt Leckie.
I just wonder whether it's that trailing leg that actually trips Donachie up. Yeah,
he does catch.
He
the
sort of
left foot.
falls onto Donachie's leg.
He does take that left foot. He's a pretty high threshold for intervening. VAR, which in principle I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Of all the protestations, interestingly, James Donachie wasn't leading the charge.
Kewen rallied too long. Lawton was on it. Leonard. It's a clear trip. That's going to be a card for Matt Leckie. Call it cynical. Call it just being a wily old pro. The yellow card fully deserved.
Well, he dug that out nicely, Dylan Leonard. Thurgate not mucking around.
City edge closer, moment by moment, to a grand final meeting with their biggest rival, Melbourne Victory. And in case you missed it earlier on today, defeated the Premiers Auckland 2-0 on their own patch, if you don't mind, to make it back-to-back grand finals.
So Auckland's only second home loss this season.
Melbourne Victory's third consecutive final, if you include the Australia Cup as well.
The only team to beat Auckland in Auckland before today was Western United.
Also the only team to stick 4 goals on them twice. As it is in this tie, it's Melbourne City with the 4 goals. Western just with the 1. Well, this ball wasn't the best, a risky one really in the end, and Kewen, thankfully for Western United, straight at Sutton. Was on the bench for Melbourne City, by the way, when they won the grand final in 2021 at Matt Sutton. Forward by Leckie. Metti. Too clever for Garuccio. Trying to free Caputo ahead of him. Donachie providing cover. Grimaldi runs straight into Callum Talbot. And we're into the final minutes of the regulation 90. Those City fans in fine voice. In fairness, the Western supporters responding.
They've been terrific, the Western supporters. They've had a good team to follow this year. It's a big off-season for the club. That off-season starts in just a few minutes as we wait for that ownership transition to take place.
And a few off-field things to be resolved as well.
Indeed. But it's been a fine campaign.
In case you missed that news, of course, the off-field stuff being that club were being sued by some of its own players this week. That was the news that broke. For unpaid wages. So we tick over into the first of 3 additional minutes. You were telling me pre-game, Andy, you heard a rumour that those issues have now been resolved at Western United.
I had heard that, but it hasn't. Who knows? It's not publicly official yet. So we certainly hope. Certainly hope, and we hope for happier, more stable days for Western United. They've won 1 championship in their short life. They've had a great campaign. Really well done by Johnny Aloisi.
Some consolation for them here at the end. At least to win the second leg. Caputo shrugs off 2 players. Lucky sends it forward. And Romani might have controlled that with his arm, but Russell comes away with the ball, so on we go. It's not a great cross from Tate Russell. As you say, Andy, Western have certainly steadied on the night. There was a point in the game after they conceded that first goal when you feared that it might be 3 or 4-0 or even more. But they've regathered, regrouped, and in the end made a really good game of it.
Yeah, and in hindsight, as the review takes place of the semi-final series between these 2 Melbourne clubs, the damage really was done in the first half of semi-final 1. Western had a couple of great chances to score and didn't. And then the 3-goal deficit was, as it's turned out, just that bit too much. But they haven't died without a fight.
Here's the chance to put the cherry on top for City. And Nettie can't get around. Dylan Leonard. Will be one of the real bright spots for them to take out of this season. And there's been a few of them for John Aloisi and his team. Trip by Lawton on Lecky. And that should just about see us through to full time. Kersey confirms that Aurelio Vidmar and his team are through to the grand final. A 5th grand final appearance in 6 seasons. And this one they will celebrate long and hard. They've had a hard season in terms of injuries. They've had to dig deep into their squad. But they have finished really well. Now 8 games unbeaten. And we've got an all-Melbourne grand final for the first time as City face victory for the big prize next week. In the end, Western United's season ran out of steam just a little bit. But they can take comfort from the fact that they've set the template for years to come. Some standout performers, the likes of Noah Botic and Dylan Leonard. But in the end, City were just too good, too strong over the 2 legs. And as you can see, they will face Melbourne Victory next Saturday's grand final, live on 10 Volt and Paramount Plus. Patrick Beach had to make some big saves. A couple in the first half, one from point-blank range from Dylan Leonard in the second. All that after Aziz Bayic had given City the lead in the first half with his second goal in 3 matches. Noah Botic made it all square on the night, but in the end that first leg deficit was just too big a gap for Western. Full time tonight, Melbourne City 1, Western United 1, but it's Melbourne City who advanced to the grand final 4-1 on aggregate.
We were talking about all sorts of things like youngsters coming in. Now we get to talk to you tonight after a grand final. How does it feel?
Yeah, incredible. It's been a long year, a lot of hard work, a lot of setbacks, but yes, the reward to win the grand final is amazing. So now, yeah, one more win to that.
As you talk about the job is not done yet, just want to talk about the fans quickly. Obviously, Southside has been incredibly loud all night long. How important is it that they get their tickets to get along to next week's grand final?
Yeah, it's crucial. Extra as an action man, so we'll get them and practice is on.
City fans, can you please put your hands together for Stevie Guy? Incredible season. On to a grand final next week. Stevie, thank you. Here we are, City fans. We have reached the point of the season we have been looking forward to. We are excited to announce the grand final will be here in Melbourne, Saturday, 31st of May. That is next Saturday, right here at Amy Park. The full details yet to come. But we want you to make some noise. We are on to the grand